Today's question is, what leadership skills can be developed through improvisation? And also, what is improvisation? What are the rules of improvisation? Now, last year we created a course at the Marshall School of Business called Leadership Through Improvisation. We have two sections. We have one section for the graduate students and another one for the undergraduate students. I have the pleasure of teaching the one for undergraduate students in the spring. So if you're a student, please enroll in my elective this coming spring. Now, the premise of the course is that through improvisation exercises, we can actually develop certain leadership skills. As you know, improvisation is a theater form in which the performers have no script. Circumstances are given to them, and they have to immediately create a scene from those circumstances that they didn't know before the improvisation started. They get the circumstances and they start improvising right away.
It's called freestyle. Can I get two players to stage, please? The way this works, these guys are going to do a scene any moment. One of us on the side can shout, "Freeze!" Tag them out, assume whatever position they were last in, and start a whole new scene.
Once he's been smothered, then we leave.
All right.
But it can take up to 2 to 3 minutes to properly smother someone.
How long have we done so far?
We've done about 20 seconds.
All right.
So I've prepared some small talk topics.
Oh,
Would you like to involve him or?
shoot. Oh, yeah. Give me your first topic.
I was thinking initially we could discuss the regatta.
Jonathan! Oh, Mary! We've had rather a lot of weed.
You're in prison.
There are 5 skills that can be targeted with improvisation. The first one is about listening. It is connected to mindfulness, to being present in the moment, completely aware of what's going on around you. As you know, in improvisation, you don't know what's going to happen. So you have to be very alert. You have to listen very carefully so that you can come up with something that will make sense. The second one is being able to react immediately. So thinking on your feet is something that is important for leadership because, as you know, we live in a volatile environment. Things change all the time, and the leader has to be able to be very, very good at reacting to whatever comes his or her way. The third one is about, of course, collaboration. Collaboration is something that happens in improvisations because people don't know what's coming and they have to create something together. So the togetherness is where the collaboration is present. And then there's the creativity, which is the fourth skill that can be targeted with improvisation that, of course, relates to creating something beautiful together. Well, it doesn't have to be beautiful, but something that makes sense and usually something that is funny. And the last thing is vulnerability. Being vulnerable. We teach our team as a team member and also as a leader that we can be vulnerable, that we are humans, we're all humans, and we connect at that level. So that makes the team more cohesive. And if you have followers, then that makes your followers see you more as a human being and connect better with you.
So you want just all the paint removed from this wall, do you?
Just trying to clear out all the old memories of the place.
Oh, been there, pal. Been there. Oh, don't worry about it.
No, it's not that.
Freeze. Genre of film.
Horror.
Horror.
It's just that I recognise you.
Do you? I wonder why.
I never know exactly where she went. She just sort of ran off and went one day.
Yes, she ran. Do you want to know where I got this red paint?
Freeze. Another genre of film. Romance.
Red painter. What, did you buy it at that charming little shop down Finsbury Road?
Yeah. Yes, I did Farrow and Ball. It's very fancy paint.
Oh, I love Farrow and Ball.
Freeze. Another genre of film.
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough.
As the sexual tension between this young paint stripper and this 45-year-old accountant. You can see the bottom lip of the older gentleman trembling. Trembling with something he's always wanted to do, but toxic masculinity makes it.
Freeze. Another genre of film. Sci-fi. Freeze! Genre of TV. Telenovela.
¿Por qué, Dios mío?
Sí.
Es mi casa, no tu casa.
Mi casa comprende pues algo muy sobre él.
¿Comprende esto?
Sí.
Embracing vulnerability is one of the most important leadership skills that can be targeted through improvisation because it is connected to psychological safety. Now, what is psychological safety? Psychological safety is the idea that in a work environment in which people feel safe to express themselves without fearing to be ridiculed by others, the results are better. People will feel better about working together. And of course, this will also foster creativity and innovation in the team. Now, the professor who is behind making this concept of psychological safety so popular is Professor Amy Edmondson from Harvard University.
One of the most important factors in delivering safe and effective care is psychological safety. Allow me to define that as a belief that the workplace is safe for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, and even mistakes. And it's a sense of confidence that your voice is valued. You can think of this as a sense of permission for candor, that the workplace is somewhere where we count on your voice being heard, because you never know when you will have had the observation that someone else missed that will be mission critical to delivering safe, high quality care. Now, I want to be clear that psychological safety is not about being nice. It's not about holding back on something you think might be unpleasant. In fact, quite the opposite. It's about candor. It's also, of course, not freedom from conflict. When you're in a psychologically safe workplace, there will be conflict. People will have different points of view, and we'll get into it, and we'll seek to understand each other's views better and come out with a better solution.
Now, if you decide that improvisation is for you, if you want to give it a try within your team, I'm going to give you 4 rules that you have to follow so that it works. The 4 rules come from American actress Tina Fey, who is also a comedian, a brilliant comedian, and she wrote a book called Bossy Pants, and in the book she talks about improvisation in general, and she details these 4 rules.
So her book is wonderful. It's the funniest book you'll ever read. And it's a book not only about her growing up and all the things that happened to her as a young woman as well as a professional woman, but a lot about life. And so it has a lot of lessons in it. So for example, stop, I've got a gun.
The gun I gave you for our wedding anniversary, Eric, how could you?
We're not married.
Aha, we're not married is a denial. We've learned our first improv lesson. Very hard, it takes a long time to learn.
This is the problem with an engineer trying to learn.
It takes a long time to learn those basic rules of improv.
So why don't you take us through them? And they're in the book.
Sure, they're in the book, because I was an improviser at Second City and at a place called the Improv Olympic in Chicago. And I talk in the book about improv having really kind of changed my professional life and even sort of my worldview a little bit. There are some basic rules of improvisation. When you're creating something out of nothing, the first rule is to agree, which is to say yes, which we did do that successfully. You said, freeze, I have a gun. And I didn't say, that's not a gun, that's your finger. I said,
which is what a Google person would say.
yeah, well, no, I don't know.
Okay.
So we agreed. And the next rule is yes and, which is to add on to what you've already agreed upon. So the gun I gave you for our wedding anniversary, how could you? And then we hit a brick wall, Eric. But it's a very, it's funny because it's some very famous comedians there's an old story about Joan Rivers was at the Second City briefly in 1959, 1960, and they use this in class at Second City all the time, that there was someone came in, said, I want a divorce, was the beginning of the scene. She said, I want a divorce, and whoever was with her on stage said, but what about the children? And she said, we don't have any children, which in the moment got a big laugh.
but stops.
But killed the scene. So that's, it's a very...
And so my response would be...
human instinct.
Yes, we have children. I just didn't tell you. That's why we're getting
Yes.
divorced.
Yes. I have some other children.
Yes.
This is exactly why, yeah.
Okay, got it.
But for me, it was just a lot about being open. You have to be open to any possibility, and you're being open to the fact that an idea that you stumble upon together is likely to be more interesting than the idea that you started with as individuals. And I thought all that stuff was very helpful as a writer.
So rule number 1, always say yes. Whatever your partner gives you, whatever your partner tells you, you're going to say yes. Rule number 2, but not only say yes and. That means that you're adding something, you're building the improvisation with your partner. Rule number 3, whatever you add when you say yes and, it has to be a statement. Do not ask a question. Only statements. That way the improvisations can be built even more. And rule number 4, there are no mistakes, just opportunities. So be vulnerable, take risks, and think about whatever happens as an opportunity. I hope you try improvisation. It's wonderful. And again, if you're a student at the University of Southern California Marshall School of Business, take the class. I'm Professor Marco Aponte Moreno. I'll see you next time. Bye.